Hi everyone, and welcome to Book Television Online. Today is our first show. What we want to do is interview book authors from anywhere that we can, but today we have a very special guest with us, Marcy Heistand, who is from right across the way in St. Croix, United States Virgin Islands, who came over to St. Thomas just to do this interview with us. We are going to be going over her two books, After the Storm and Unforgettable. Marcy, how do you feel today?
I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It was a nice seaplane trip over the water, and now I'm here in this beautiful park in St. Thomas with you, and it's just a great day so far. Thank you.
All right. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I feel the same way. Thank you for joining us today. Now go ahead and tell the viewers, how did you get into becoming an author?
Oh man, do we have enough time for that? That's a long story. No, but seriously, as a child, I've always liked reading. I've always liked poetry, stories. My first memory of really enjoying a book or a story was in like elementary school, where we go to the library and the librarian would sit down and read Charlotte's Web to us. And then we saw the animated cartoon, and that was it. It was a done deal. I was like, oh my God, this is what I love. This is what I want to do. And I just kept writing, and I would write poems and short stories. I'd pay, the guys in high school would pay me to write poems to their girlfriends. And I was like, there's money to be had in this too, right? So I had a lot of fun writing. You know, I still write a lot of essays and things like that, but there's nothing else that I've done that has given me as much satisfaction and joy. And so just writing is my thing.
All right, all right. Okay, so from young you was already a love novelist with your poems too.
Oh my gosh, I love Harlequin romances. Oh gosh, Harlequin romance, Daniel Steele. I just love romance, and it's kind of strange because I love Stephen King too, and he writes some delicious horror stories, but there's always a love plot in there somewhere. And I fell in love with that aspect of it, and I love old things, antique things, and this time is a great time for the country and the world. But when I look back at the past, oh my God, it's just so romantic. And so I write historical romance novels.
Okay, beautiful. Now, the first one you wrote was After the Storm.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you want to tell us how you got into writing this one?
Well, Hurricane Hugo in 1989 devastated the island of St. Croix. And, we learned a lot about ourselves during that time. And we learned how to communicate without phones. We learned how to have a good time in the dark.
Yes.
And so, I just felt compelled to share that experience. And what better way to talk about hurricane time, any big time of change, than through the eyes of young folks. And so this is about some teenagers that fell in love with each other during that time. And they did break up, but they got back together many, many years later. And just kind of that journey that they took together and then separately. So it's that book, that first one is from the heart. Hurricane Hugo was an unforgettable experience. Yeah.
All right. So you just said Hurricane Hugo was unforgettable.
Yes.
And that leads to...
And then, nice segue, right? Yes, Unforgettable. And this one is set during the 1800s, the late 1800s in St. Croix. And it is a couple that are loving each other at the wrong time. They're slave master and slave. And there shouldn't be love between the two, but we found that that's happened historically a lot on plantations. And in this one, the inspiration for this one was just crazy. It did like a hiking trail at the plantation, and at the Butler's Bay plantation. And during that hiking trail, there were some graves that were found near the site, and it was just talking and thinking about what kind of lifestyle those folks that were buried there lived. And was it slaves that were buried there? Was it pets? Who was it? Was there love? What was the family lifestyle like back in the late 1800s? And that night I went home, and it hit me so hard. I had a dream about it, and I dreamt about this couple, and I just started writing about them. So yeah, that one comes from a really magical place. So yeah,
that's very powerful. Very powerful. So, with these two books, do you have any portion or part of the book that you want to read to our listeners?
Oh, absolutely. Asking me to read from my book? Sure. hoping that, whoever hears this falls in love with just this little piece, and they're wanting to purchase the books. I mean, every time you put yourself out here as an author, as an artist, you just want it to be loved. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to read this section from After the Storm. This is my first one, so my first love here, and hope that you guys enjoy it. So here we go. I missed you, he said. Alyssa's smile broadened, if that was even possible. He had said just the right thing. Jay leaned toward the glass doors and yelled into the living room. "We playing ball or what?" A room full of enthusiastic replies assailed Jay. "We'll meet you there. See you just now. I gonna rush you on the basketball court." Jay grabbed her hand before she could protest. He pulled her across the patio and led her to a dirt path that ran along a row of neighboring houses. The path would eventually lead them to the neighborhood park. She had been down this path several times before, but today was the first time that she took notice of the path's intimate beauty. Bougainvillea plants just behind the home's chain-link fencing had grown much taller than its wide barrier. Above their heads, branches entwined to create an intricate umbrella of vines and flowers. The path was covered with fuchsia blossoms that had fallen off the trees. Jay stopped abruptly, crouching down to pluck a flower off the dirt. Alyssa stumbled into his arms just as he stood upright and turned to face her. He gently pushed her tousled hair away from her face and placed a tiny flower behind her ear. His mouth went to her ear where he nibbled gently at her soft lobe. Alyssa moaned softly as his lips traced a line down her neck with feathery kisses. Her moan vibrated on his lips and he pulled her into him. Jay was crushing her with his love.
Ooh.
A little steamy. Just a little steamy. You gotta keep it PG though, so,
yeah.
Buy the book. The rest of it.
Buy the book, hear the rest of it.
That's
Absolutely.
Right. That's right.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to share that.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for sharing it. And you are not only a lovely novelist, but as well as an enthusiastic speaker.
Oh,
so
thank
that was very entertaining for me
Flattery
to
will get
listen.
you everywhere. You guys want me to come back next week?
Yes.
I'll be on the show.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. And you were speaking of not only these two books, but earlier we spoke about your thoughts for another one in the future.
Yes. I want to explore love in different generations, soulmates, folks that meet each other over and over again throughout life, and they learn a lesson each time they meet each other. And I'm thinking of intertwining these two couples, the concept being, what if these two were the same people or the same soul, and they had just met each other after Hurricane Hugo, and then again, and they met each other before that in the 1800s, and then again in whatever time frame I put them in, for the next book. So I'm playing with that concept, and hopefully I get it together really soon, and I get the book written within a year and a half or so.
Wow,
So,
yeah.
that's my goal.
Woo, beautiful. Well, actually, talking about that now, how long did it take you to write the first one?
Ooh, that one was a little bit rough. Took me a few years. The confidence wasn't there. I was kind of second guessing myself, rewriting and starting over and thinking of new plots. And then finally I was just like, I'm going to just do this. And I had to put myself on a schedule. So I would write 5 pages a day. Okay. Whether it was a good 5 pages or a bad 5 pages, I would just write it just to keep myself, motivated. And eventually I got it done within like about 2.5, 3 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the Unforgettable was a lot shorter. I had a little bit more confidence. I had the dreams that were spurring the storyline. And so I got through that one within a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I always think about that because the thickness of the books always make me think, how long did it take them to not only think of the story, but also put it on paper and have the final product. So, wow.
Well, the editing portion is the most painful portion because that's where you get the critique and, you have to make changes. You might have to add something or take something away. And I've decided that is the part of writing that I like the least. The creative part, I love it. The editing is painful, but it gets you there. It gets you to the point where you have something to show that you can be proud of.
I understand.
Yes.
Okay, cool. whenever you do start editing the book, so are other people involved in the editing process?
Yes.
Okay, so when that comes about, they're probably the first people actually reading your book, right?
Yes.
How does that make you feel?
So nervous.
Yeah.
I am like texting and emailing. Okay, which part are you on now? Well, what do you like about this? And really, the person I've used to edit has been very have refrained from commenting on the story itself, just about the the grammar, putting the sentences together, how the chapters flow. And it's not until we're done with the whole process that she'll finally say to me, "Man, I really love this and this about the story." So she kind of steps back,
Yeah.
and makes it more technical. And that makes it easier for me to get through it. And then at the end, when it's all done, then she'll give me like her commentary and like her personal feelings on the story itself. So
That's great. That's a really nice editor, right?
yeah, she's great. She's amazing, actually. Nicole Hutchins, if you're out there, thank you for everything you've done for me.
Nicole Hutchins.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. So another thing I want to talk about is the outside of the books, right?
Yes.
These are beautiful,
Oh, thank you.
beautiful covers of these books. What, especially this one. So this is a woman. Is this her hand?
This is her hand
Right?
on
Okay.
her back, and she's standing in front of a huge stone wall, like on the beach. And this photo was actually not taken for the book, but it was taken by a photographer friend of mine who uses this model all the time. And when I told him I was writing a book, he was like, "I have the perfect cover for you." And so we got her permission, and we used that for the cover.
Okay.
And I feel like it represents the hard and soft of life, after the storm, during the storm, where you're trying to figure out who you are and what you're about. And kind of the vulnerability that you have there. She's standing there, basically naked with her back showing, and I just feel like it represents all the feelings that the lead in this book goes through. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Very nice. Yes, thank you. So this is the first, and this is the second one. So now with Unforgettable, I know you. Do you want to read a page in this book too?
Sure, why not?
Yes. Is there a specific part you already? One of your favorite pages?
One of my favorite pages. It might take me a minute to find that one.
That's
Hold
no
on.
problem. No problem. No problem at all. I just want to touch on both of them. This is beautiful.
Thank you. And
Beautiful.
the
You're
cover
welcome.
for this one, my son actually came up with it, and he was like, "Mom, why don't you use embers?" And I was like, "Perfect," because I was really struggling with a way to make the tree, which is a photo of the Butler Bay plantation tree that's at the entrance, Boboa tree. And I was struggling with a way to make it like really stand out. And he was like, "Okay, Ma, you just got to put the fires in there, the ashes." Part of this book does take place during the fire burn in St. Croix. I don't want to tell you too much about it, because I want you to get it and read it. And so it's a really good representation of the story. And kind of eye-catching too, I hope.
Yeah, it was eye-catching. At first, when I saw it, I was thinking it was leaves coming off the tree that had been burning.
Yes.
So that, wow,
Okay.
very powerful.
I'm sorry, guys. Take me
Nope,
just a
take
minute.
your time, take your time.
I watched her from where I stood on the old dock. She seemed to appear from nowhere. She walked into the ocean as if hypnotized. It called to her, and she did its bidding. She disappeared into the water. The curve of her butt, her legs, then her toes sank into the ocean. I saw everything in the moonlight. She emerged from the water again, skin damp from the ocean's caresses. Anna's wet hair shone in the moonlight. Finally tamed, it fell on her slight shoulders and dripped onto her breasts, turned up to the sky. She shouldn't have to worry about punishment for wandering off alone. I should give her her privacy, but I couldn't look away, and I didn't want to. Her olive skin glistened in the moonlight like the stars too far away to touch. I felt need growing inside me. I could not deny it. I longed to touch her. I wanted to be the ocean, moving across her body, creating waves of passion, moving in and around her. Anna should be on top of me, swimming in need that only I could satisfy. I closed my eyes for a few moments, trying to gain control of myself. I wanted to run to her. I reopened my eyes, prepared to give in to my need, but it was too late. the moment had passed. Anna had already disappeared, and I was alone again. And this is written from a man's perspective. So I tried to challenge myself in writing this one, and I hope that I did a good job in not really thinking the way a man thinks, but feeling what a man might feel. And so that was a challenge for me in writing this one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Saying wanting to be the ocean or the water on her body, that gave me chills. Gave me chills.
Good. I like to hear that. That's cool. Yep.
Oh, that was good.
All right, I'm saying it's hot.
It's hot. It's
See,
hot.
the fires, the embers.
Yes, that's right.
You gotta get into it. So, yeah.
Okay, and that's the second book, right?
This is the second one, yes.
So let's talk about the characters in the first book.
Okay.
So what are they going through?
Okay, so we've got Alyssa and Jay. Jay has just gotten out of college. He's got, his whole life ahead of him. He stumbles into Alyssa, who's a friend of the family, and he's known her since she was young. But now, okay, she's a senior in high school, and she's,
developing.
Yeah, she's different Alyssa now. She's getting grown, and so they meet and they fall for each other really hard. I mean, love, like, you can see it when they're together, that kind of tangible love. And then something happens, and he doesn't see her for 10 years. And they meet up again, and he's got all kinds of questions, like, what happened? Why weren't we together anymore? I thought we were, going to be together for the rest of our lives. And you follow them on that journey of learning what happened in those 10 years of separation. She struggles with dependency, with her paternal relationships. There's a whole host of things going on that he has no idea about. And so that vulnerability, that trust, that wanting to start over again and kind of forgive yourself before you can move on to being happy. And so you follow them through that struggle, and you hope in the end that they end up together again. And so we go into a story starting in the late 80s. Hurricane Hugo was 1989. And then we move into 10 years later when, they're adults and lots of things have changed. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So that's book number one. And
That's
now
number one.
with book number two.
Book number two, I just went crazy in this one. I'm in the late 1800s, a slave master and slave. He's a Danish plantation owner. He is popular with his slaves. He's considered a good guy as far as good guys go, for being a slave master. But he is in love with this woman, and she doesn't remember who he is. And so this is the story in this book. She's also a bit of a revolutionist, and so he has to determine whether or not he wants to keep her forgetting, to keep her safe, or if he needs to trust that their relationship is strong enough to go back to things that happened before she lost her memory.
Wow.
So it's there's some interesting challenges, and of course there's the fire of being in love and being in a time where it's not okay to be in love with each other when you're a plantation owner and you're a slave.
Yeah.
So we find ourselves in a setting in the late 1800s on St. Croix, just after the fire burned. So hopefully it's a page turner.
Yeah, it sounds like a page turner.
And people will enjoy the relationship and a little bit of scandal that goes with this type of relationship.
Wow, unforgettable. Okay.
Unforgettable.
All right, I like that. Ooh, all right. Well, while we're talking about this, where can people get your book? Where can we find it? Where can we buy it?
Well, this one, After the Storm, the first one was on Amazon. It's sold out. I'm very grateful for that, so I need to replenish that. And this one is available in Undercover Bookstore in St. Croix. And you can also get it from me. I'm shipping my books out everywhere. Marcy Heistand on Facebook. Just inbox me, and I'll get the book to you. I mean, I've sent it out as close by as St. Thomas and Puerto Rico, and as far out as California, New York, Tennessee. So, wherever you are, I can get this to you. And if you are a Virgin Islander who's living off island and wants to support me, please do not hesitate, because I will get that book to you so quick, so that you can enjoy it even in the cold weather with some hot soup.
Yes, with some hot soup in
Some hot soup. That's right.
And the flames.
Oh yes, the flame of love will keep you warm.
That's right. And that's even more beautiful because you are a Virgin Islands woman and you're writing about love through Virgin Islands history.
Yes.
So it's more than a love story.
Yes, ma'am.
It's so powerful.
Thank
so
you.
powerful.
Thank you. I enjoy exposing people to the Virgin Islands. You will find in reading my books, I hope that you find that I love St. Croix. I love the Virgin Islands. I love our culture and I love our history. And I feel like even through all of our challenges, there is so much love there. I mean, I think that's the core of our culture and that's the core of who we are as Virgin Islanders. And I hope everybody feels that when they read this, when they read these books.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Marcy, I want to thank you so much for flying all the way over here just to come in and do this interview with us for Book
my
Television
pleasure.
Online. Yes.
Thank you so much.
And we definitely hope to have you back when you have your third book out.
Yes,
Yes.
no pressure.
No pressure at all. But before then, we have these two beautiful books. Everybody, please, please, please check her out on her Facebook page, Marcy Heistand. We'll have some edits in the comments below as well. And please check her Facebook page as well as her Amazon. You can find it by checking out the names on Amazon. Right now, she is sold out. So she's gonna have more coming up for you soon where you can order on Amazon and through her Facebook. Just inbox her and she'll get them to you anywhere you are in the world, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else you want to say to the viewers before we go?
Just thank you so much for watching us here on Book Online.
Book Television
Book
Online.
Television Online.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure that you're going to have another great episode coming up. I can't wait to see it.
Yep, me too.
All right.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. See you on our next episode of Book Television Online.